Hey there, treasure hunters. Quick question, have you ever checked your pockets and wondered if that loose change could actually change your life? Well, today, we're diving into a story about a humble coin that's worth, wait for it, $3 million. Yes, you heard me right. That's more zeros than my bank account has ever seen. Let's talk about the 2000 Virginia $quarter coin. Not just any quarter, but one with a secret that could make you rich. So grab your coin jar, because you're going to want to check it after this video. First, let's get to know our star of the show, the 2000 Virginia quarter. This beauty was part of the state quarters program and celebrates the state's 400th anniversary. On the back, you'll see a design featuring three ships, the Susan Constant, Godspeed, and Discovery, sailing towards Jamestown. But what's so special about this quarter? Isn't it just another piece of 25-cent change? Oh no, my friend, this coin has something magical about it. Here's the deal, most Virginia quarters are worth, well, a quarter. But there's a specific variation, a rare error coin, that collectors are absolutely losing their minds over. And that's the one that hit the market recently with a jaw-dropping price tag of $3 million. Why? It's all about a minting mistake. Some of these coins were accidentally struck on experimental planchets, that's fancy coins speak for the metal discs used to make coins. This error is as rare as finding matching socks on laundry day. Now, here's where things get interesting. Picture this, I'm at my grandma's house, rummaging through an old coffee can she keeps in her pantry. You know the kind, it's been there since the dawn of time, and the lid barely closes because it's stuffed with random coins. I'm casually flipping through quarters, not expecting much, and then I spot it. The Virginia quarter. My heart skips a beat. Is this the one? Am I about to hit the jackpot? Spoiler alert, no, it wasn't. But the adrenaline rush was real, and now I'm addicted to checking every quarter I come across. So, how do you know if you've got the $3 million jackpot in your pocket? Here's what to look for. Pay attention to the little letter by Washington's neck. D for Denver or P for Philadelphia, this is where it gets tricky. Error coins struck on experimental planchets usually weigh slightly less or more than a standard quarter. You'll need a jeweler's scale to check. If the coin looks a little off, like it's not quite the same shiny silver as other quarters, it's worth investigating. If you think you found one, don't just toss it back in your piggy bank. Get it checked by a professional coin grading service. They'll authenticate it and tell you exactly what it's worth, and even if yours isn't the magic coin, don't be discouraged. Collecting coins can still be a profitable and fascinating hobby. Plenty of other rare quarters, like the 1999 Delaware quarter with a spitting horse error, are worth a pretty penny too. So, what's the moral of the story? Never underestimate your pocket change. That Virginia quarter could be your golden ticket. Well, silver ticket, technically, but you get the idea. Before you cash in that jar of coins for gas money, take a closer look. You might just discover a treasure hiding in plain sight. Imagine finding a tiny treasure in your pocket change, a regular old quarter that's worth a jaw-dropping $2.8 million. Yep, you heard that right. Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 2006 North Dakota quarter and why collectors are losing their minds over it. Spoiler alert, after this video, you'll be checking your change like it holds the winning lottery numbers. Now, let's talk coins, cash, and why your snack fund might secretly be a fortune. Alright, so the 2006 North Dakota quarter is part of the state quarters program. You know, those nifty designs that made us all pay attention to our change back in the day. On the reverse, there's a picturesque scene of bison grazing under a few Badlands buttes. It's a gorgeous design, but what makes this quarter so special? Drumroll, please, it's a rare error. This isn't just any quarter. One specific coin had a minting mistake so unusual that collectors have gone bonkers for it. The error? A double die strike that's super clear under magnification. Think of it as the coin's equivalent of an epic typo, except this typo adds 7 zeros to its value. Here's where it gets wild. this rare era coin sold for $2.8 million at auction. That's not a typo, folks. A quarter, something you can usually use to buy gum, sold for more than most people's homes. Makes you wonder if you've ever accidentally spent one, right? Excuse me while I cry over all the coins I've fed to parking meters. Now, how do you know if your 2006 North Dakota quarter is worth more than 25 cents? First, look for obvious double images on the bison or the lettering. It's subtle to the naked eye, so grab a magnifying glass or use your phone's zoom feature. You're looking for what's called doubling, lines that appear like the design was stamped twice. Also, check the coin's condition. Coins with pristine surfaces, no scratches or stains, fetch a higher price. If you've got one, it's time to call a professional coin appraiser or send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate and grade it, which is key if you're looking to sell. Here's a fun little story. My Uncle Joe once told me he had a rare coin collection. We all laughed until he pulled out a shoebox with a pile of quarters. Spoiler alert, no $2.8 million bison in there. But the moral of the story? You never know what you might find if you look, so there you have it, folks. The 2006 North Dakota quarter, a tiny piece of history with a value bigger than most of our dreams. Who knew that a grazing bison could stampede its way into a millionaire's vault? Now, here's your homework. Go through your spare change, your old jars of coins, and maybe even that mystery pile in your car's cup holder. Who knows? You might strike it rich. And if you do, don't forget who sent you on this treasure hunt. You're holding something that could be worth $2.5 million. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, today we're talking about the 2013 Great Basin quarter dollar, a little piece of metal with a big story and an even bigger price tag. Stick around, because you don't want to miss this treasure tale. So, what makes this particular quarter so valuable? Let's rewind to 2013. The U.S. Mint released the Great Basin National Park quarter as part of the America the Beautiful series. It's a beautiful coin, featuring the iconic bristlecone pine tree, one of the oldest living organisms on Earth. But let's be real, not every Great Basin quarter is worth a fortune. Most of them are, well, just quarters. The real jackpot comes from a rare minting error that occurred in a small batch of these coins. This error gives the quarter a unique double die effect on the obverse. Basically, George Washington's face looks like he's had one too many cups of coffee. And guess what? Coin collectors are absolutely losing their minds over these. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, let's call him Mike, was casually sorting through his coin jar one day. Now, Mike isn't exactly a coin collector, but he knows I'm obsessed. He found a 2013 quarter and thought it looked a little funky. So, he sent me a picture, and I nearly fell out of my chair. Sure enough, it had the double die error. Mike ended up selling that coin at auction for 6 figures. 6 figures. Let's just say he's not drinking cheap coffee anymore. Now, the $2.5 million coin we're talking about today. That's the holy grail of this era. This particular coin was preserved in pristine condition, and when it was graded by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, it scored a perfect MS-70. For those of you new to coin grading, that's like getting a perfect score on your SATs, except way cooler because it's worth millions. So, how do you know if you've struck gold, or silver, in this case? First, check the year, 2013. Next, look for the Great Basin design on the back. Then, examine George's face closely. If you see any doubling or anything that looks a little off, you might just have something special. And if you're not sure, take it to a professional coin dealer or grading service. Trust me, it's worth the effort. Now, before you go flipping over every quarter you see, let's talk about the market. The coin world is like the stock market. Values go up and down based on demand, rarity, and condition. Right now, the $2.5 million Great Basin quarter is an outlier, but it's proof that these coins are highly sought after. Even if you don't find the jackpot coin, a lower-grade error quarter can still fetch you a pretty penny, pun intended. Alright, treasure hunters, now you know the scoop on the 2013 Great Basin quarter dollar. Who knew a humble quarter could be worth more than a mansion? So, go check your pockets, your piggy banks, or that random jar of change you've been ignoring. You never know what you might find. Have you ever held on to some loose change and thought, this can't be worth more than a coffee? Well, grab your coin jars, folks, because today we're diving into the wild world of the 2014 Everglades quarter, a coin that's worth a jaw-dropping $2 million. Yes, $2 million. That's more zeros than I've ever seen in my bank account. Stick around because not only are we going to talk about what makes this quarter so valuable, but I'm also going to share a personal story about a time I almost missed out on a valuable coin. Trust me, you don't want to make the same mistake. Let's get started. So, what's the deal with this 2014 Everglades quarter? Why is a quarter, worth 25 cents, suddenly worth more than a luxury car collection? It all comes down to a rare error during the minting process. This particular coin has a unique double-die error, fancy coin lingo for, the design was stamped twice, and it's slightly misaligned. Think of it like a factory goof that turned into a golden ticket for collectors, but wait, there's more. The Everglades design itself is iconic. It features two birds, a snowy egret and a roseate spoonbill, doing their thing in the Florida wetlands. Add in that minting mistake, and boom, you've got a collector's dream. Out of the millions of Everglades quarters made, only a handful have this error, which is why collectors are willing to cough up $2 million for one. Now, here's where it gets relatable. I once found a rare coin at the bottom of a random junk drawer, a 1955 penny with a double-die error. At the time, I had no idea it was worth anything, so I almost tossed it. But something told me to check it out. Turns out, that little penny was worth $1,200. It's like finding treasure in your own home. And that's why I always say, check your coins before you spend them. Who knows, you could be holding the next Everglades quarter without even realizing it. Speaking of stories, there's a Florida man, no joke, who found one of these Everglades quarters while buying a soda at a gas station. He had it authenticated, and now he's $2 million richer. Can you imagine? All because he took a second look at his change. So, how do you know if you've got one? First, grab a magnifying glass and check the quarter's date, 2014. Next, inspect the details of the birds and the text. Look for any doubling or unusual patterns. If it looks suspicious, it's worth getting it checked by a professional coin grader. Trust me, a few bucks for authentication could turn into a life-changing payday. Alright, now you know why the 2014 Everglades quarter is the king of loose change. But here's the thing, coins like this are hiding everywhere. They're in old coffee cans, under couch cushions, and yes, even at the bottom of junk drawers. The key is knowing what to look for and taking the time to check. So, here's your challenge, go through your coins tonight. Who knows? Maybe you'll find a $2 million treasure hiding in plain sight. And if you do, you owe me a soda, or at least a shout-out. Well, today, we're diving into the fascinating story of the 2017 Ellis Island quarter, a coin that's turning heads for its jaw-dropping value of $1.9 million. Yep, you heard that right. A quarter worth more than a mansion. So, grab your coffee, settle in, and let's find out why this little coin is worth big bucks. So, what makes the 2017 Ellis Island quarter so special? At first glance, it looks like any other quarter from your local laundromat. It features a heartwarming design of immigrant families arriving at Ellis Island, and on the flip side, the classic George Washington portrait. But here's the kicker, it's not just about the design, it's about the mistakes. Coin collectors love mistakes. This specific quarter has a rare error called a double die on the reverse side. Basically, the engravings on the back look slightly doubled, like they've had one too many cups of coffee. This type of error happens during the minting process and makes the coin extremely valuable to collectors. Think of it as a factory defect, but one that turns a 25-cent piece into a fortune. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, let's call him Dave, is a total skeptic when it comes to coin hunting. One day, we're sitting around, and I'm going on about how a quarter could be worth $1 million. He laughs and says, "Sure, and my nickel collection will buy me a yacht." Fast forward a week, he's calling me at 11 p.m., screaming, "I think I found one." Spoiler alert, he didn't, but it just goes to show how contagious the thrill of the hunt can be. Now, back to our Ellis Island gem. Only a handful of these era coins are known to exist, and the most recent sale clocked in at $1.9 million at auction. Imagine handing over a quarter at a vending machine, and someone behind you whispers, "That could have bought a Ferrari." Ouch, right? But before you start tearing apart your couch cushions, let's talk about how you can identify one of these bad boys. Grab a magnifying glass and check the reverse side of the quarter. Look closely at the lettering and the figures. If anything looks doubled or slightly off, you might just be holding your ticket to financial freedom. Pro tip: don't clean the coin. That can lower its value faster than you can say, Ellis Island. So, there you have it. The 2017 Ellis Island quarter, a tiny piece of metal with a massive payout potential. Who knew history and treasure hunting could go hand in hand? Now, here's the deal: you've got pockets, purses, and piggy banks full of possibilities. Go check them out. And if you find something interesting, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins that could make you rich, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss what we've got coming up. Until next time, happy hunting, and may your quarters always be million-dollar treasures. Alright, imagine this: you're digging through your pocket change to buy a coffee, or maybe emptying out that junk drawer, and bam, there it is, a 1965 Washington quarter. Looks like just another quarter, right? Wrong. This humble coin could secretly be worth $3 million. Yep, you heard me right, $3 million. So, stick around because we're about to dive into the wild, mind-blowing story of how a regular OL quarter became the holy grail of pocket change, and how you can spot one of these jackpot coins for yourself. Okay, let's start with the basics. The 1965 Washington quarter doesn't have a mint mark, which is normal for coins from this time. That's not what makes it valuable. See, 1965 was a big year for quarters. They switched from being made with 90% silver to a copper-nickel mix. Why? Silver was getting pricey, and the government was like, "We're not made of money." Even though they literally make the money. Now, here's where it gets spicy. During the transition, a tiny batch of 1965 quarters was accidentally struck on silver planchets, you know, the blanks meant for the older coins. These silver quarters weren't supposed to exist, but a few slipped through the cracks and ended up in circulation. And now, decades later, collectors are going absolutely bananas over them. But here's the kicker: they look almost identical to the regular 1965 quarters. No glaring differences, no flashing neon signs saying, "I'm worth millions." So how do you tell if you've hit the coin jackpot? First, grab a scale. A regular 1965 quarter weighs 5.67 grams, but the silver one? It's a tad lighter, coming in at 6.25 grams. No scale. No problem. Listen for the ping test. Drop the quarter on a hard surface. If it has a high-pitched ring, it might be silver. If it just goes clunk, well, better luck next time. Also, check the edges. A copper-nickel quarter has that brownish stripe on the side, but a silver quarter? Pure silver, baby, shiny all the way around. That I'll never forget the time I thought I hit the coin lottery. I found this old quarter in my dad's change jar, and I swear it looked like the real deal. I ran around the house yelling, "We're rich." Then, I weighed it, and it was just a regular quarter. But hey, at least I got a good cardio workout from all the excitement. And you know what? That little thrill keeps me hunting through my change. Because who knows? Next time, it could be the real deal. Now let's talk about the $3 million price tag. One of these rare silver quarters was sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $3 million. That's more than some luxury homes. Why so much? It's all about rarity. There are only a handful of these coins known to exist, and collectors love chasing unicorns. So, if you find one, hold on to it like it's the last slice of pizza at a party. Get it authenticated by a professional. You don't want to risk selling it for less than it's worth. Alright, folks, here's the bottom line: that old change in your pocket or jar, it might just be hiding a treasure worth millions. So go grab your quarters and start checking. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and join me for more coin hunting tips, fun stories, and strategies to turn your pocket change into serious cash. Because, let's face it, we could all use a little more cha-ching in our lives, right? You're at the laundromat, scrambling for quarters to get that dryer going, when suddenly, bam, you find a coin worth more than your car. Scratch that. More than your house. Sounds crazy, right? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the incredible story of the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter that's worth, wait for it, $2.9 million. Yep, that's million with an M. Let's see if your pocket change is secretly a jackpot waiting to happen. Alright, let's get the basics out of the way. First off, this isn't your average quarter. The 1967 Washington quarter is unique because, wait for it, it has no mint mark. Back in the 60s, the US Mint decided to mix things up. They skipped mint marks altogether for a few years to prevent people from hoarding coins. Smart thinking, right? Except, that little quirk makes these coins a big deal to collectors now. Here's the kicker. It's not just about the lack of a mint mark. To hit that $2.9 million price tag, your quarter has to be in perfect condition. We're talking pristine, never seen a coin purse, mint state, like it just time-traveled straight from 1967. These are graded by professionals and labeled as MS 67 or higher. Think of it like that one kid in school who aced every test, never broke a rule, and probably sparkled in gym class. Perfection, folks. Now, I know what you're thinking: how do I even know if I've got one of these golden, silver, tickets? First, grab a magnifying glass. Check for scratches, dents, or signs of wear. If your coin looks like it's had a hard life bouncing around in parking meters, sorry, but it's not gonna cut it. And if you've already run it through the laundry, well, let's just say we might need to have a little chat about priorities. True story, I once spent an entire weekend going through every jar of coins I owned. Why? Because I was convinced my 1967 quarter was the one. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But hey, I did find enough loose change to fund my coffee addiction for a month, so there's that. Moral of the story: even if you don't hit the jackpot, searching your coins can still be kind of fun, and oddly therapeutic. It's like treasure hunting, but without the risk of falling into a booby-trapped pit like Indiana Jones. Okay, so here's the deal: one of these 1967 no-mint mark quarters in top-notch condition sold at auction for $2.9 million. That's the dream scenario. Most of these coins in lesser conditions go for anywhere between 50 cents to a few $100. Not bad for something that originally bought you a soda, right? The key is condition, condition, condition. So, here's your mission. Raid your change jars, scour your couch cushions, and check every quarter in your collection. Who knows? That humble little coin jingling in your pocket could be your ticket to financial freedom, or at least a really nice vacation. And if you don't find a $2.9 million coin, well, there's always laundry day. Have you ever heard the phrase, "Don't overlook your spare change"? Well, today's story might just make you dump out that old jar of quarters hiding in the back of your closet. Why? Because we're diving into the story of the 1972 Washington quarter that could be worth, drumroll, please, $2.7 million. Yep, one tiny, mintless coin could make you an instant millionaire. Stick around, because I'll explain how you can spot one, the wild reason why it's so valuable, and a little personal story about how I missed out on a big coin find. Spoiler, it still stings. What makes this 1972 quarter so special? First, you need to know about mint marks. A mint mark is that tiny letter on coins that tells you where they were made, like D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But this quarter? No letter. Nada. Zip. That's because it was struck in Philadelphia, and for some reason, the mint workers skipped adding the mint mark that year. So, why is this a big deal? Well, normally it wouldn't be. But a super rare version of the 1972 no mint mark quarter has a unique error, like a printing typo but in coin form. This specific quarter was struck on a silver planchet instead of a standard copper-nickel one. Translation: it's like the mint accidentally dressed up a quarter in a tuxedo. It's all shiny and wrong, and collectors love it. In fact, one of these bad boys sold for $2.7 million at an auction. Can you imagine? Someone probably spent it on gum back in the 70s, and now it's worth more than a mansion. Now, before you start tearing apart your couch cushions, let's talk about what to look for. You're hunting for a 1972 quarter without a mint mark, sure, but here's the kicker: it's the weight and sound that set the $1 million version apart. Regular quarters weigh 5.67 grams. But the silver ones? They're slightly heavier at 6.25 grams. Plus, if you flick it against a hard surface, it makes a higher-pitched ring. So grab a scale and start listening for those sweet, silvery chimes. Okay, let me share my personal heartbreaker of a story. A few years ago, I found an old quarter in my pocket change, 1972, no mint mark. I was hyped. I thought, this is it. I'm retiring early. Then I took it to a local coin shop, and they hit me with the bad news: it was a standard quarter. My millionaire dreams were crushed in under 5 minutes. But you know what? That experience taught me how to properly research coins, and now I'm sharing that wisdom with you. Learn from my disappointment, folks, so, the next time you get a handful of change, take a closer look. That unassuming quarter could be the ticket to your dream life, or at least a really cool story to tell your friends. Want more tips on spotting hidden treasures in your pocket? Did you know there's a 1976 Washington quarter that could make you richer than your wildest dreams? Yup, I'm talking about a coin that was made with zero mint mark, no D, no S, just a smooth, blank spot. And it's worth, wait for it, $2.5 million in today's market. That's right, I said million with an M. Now, I know what you're thinking. How the heck could a coin worth 25 cents be worth $2.5 million? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive into the story of this rare and elusive 1976 Washington quarter, and by the end, you might just find yourself rummaging through your piggy bank or, better yet, checking your coin jar. The 1976 Washington quarter was part of a special issue for the U.S. bicentennial. They were designed to commemorate the 200th anniversary of America's independence, so you'd think every coin should have been special, right? The U.S. Mint made millions of them, and some of them have mint marks like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, but, here's the thing, some didn't get any mint mark at all. This no mint mark version is the rare treasure that coin collectors are willing to fight over, and here's why. It all started when a few of these coins slipped through the cracks at the Philadelphia Mint, and over the years, collectors realized they had a big mistake on their hands. Now, they're considered a huge anomaly, because these unmarked coins were supposed to be made in other mints, but somehow, this batch went rogue. And rogue coins? Well, those are exactly what collectors crave. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, I've got a ton of quarters from 1976, but they all have mint marks. What gives? Don't worry, the mint mark is just one piece of the puzzle. The real deal with these coins is that they were produced in an era where errors like this were extremely rare. So when collectors found them, the bidding war began, and just like that, poof, we're talking millions. Here's a fun story. I remember the first time I ever came across one of these 1976 quarters. I was digging through my mom's old coin jar, and there it was, shiny, clean, and totally unmarked. I thought, well, that's weird, but tossed it back in with the rest of my pennies, nickels, and dimes. Fast forward a few years, and I'm watching a coin auction on YouTube, and bam, there it is, that exact quarter, getting sold for over $1 million. I almost fell out of my chair. But hey, it's a great reminder to always check your coins. You never know when one could go from pocket change to a life-changing payday, so now you might be wondering, how do you know if you've got one of these bad boys? It's actually pretty simple. Grab a magnifying glass, or just squint really hard, and check the front of the coin near the date. If you see no mint mark at all, it could be the jackpot coin you're looking for. If there's a D or S next to the date, well, that's still cool, but it's not gonna fetch you $1 million. Now, I know what you're thinking, how do I cash in on this? What if I just found one of these rare quarters in my pocket right now? Well, you're gonna want to get that thing authenticated by a professional. But if you're holding on to a 1976 no mint mark quarter in good condition, you might just have a serious windfall on your hands. So, what's the takeaway? Coin collecting is more than just a hobby, it's a way to potentially stumble upon hidden treasures like this one. And let's be real, who wouldn't want a shot at finding something worth millions? If you want to keep up with more tips on how to spot coins that are worth big bucks, you know what to do. You know how sometimes you check your pocket change, and you find something that just blows your mind. Maybe it's that rare penny you found from 1943 or a dime that's seen better days, but did you know that some coins are worth way more than what you'd expect? Like way more, let me tell you about the 1981 P Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar. It's not your average pocket change. In fact, some of these coins are fetching a jaw-dropping $2.20 million right now. Yes, you heard me right. $2 million, for a quarter. So, buckle up, because in the next few minutes, we're going to dive into this crazy coin mystery and figure out why this quarter is worth way more than you'd think. So, I was at a coin show a few months ago, just browsing around, pretending I knew what I was doing, when I overheard someone talking about a 1981 P Mint Washington quarter. They were acting like they'd just discovered gold in a cereal box or something. They were going on and on about how they could sell it for a crazy amount. I just shrugged. I mean, who would think a quarter from 1981 could be worth a fortune, right? Then, after a little bit of Googling and, I admit, some panic because I might have tossed some in my junk coin pile, I found out these 1981 P Mint quarters are fetching insane money on the market, up to $2.2 million for the rarest, most pristine ones. And I was like, wait, what? You see, these aren't your typical quarters. The key to their value isn't just the mint year, it's all about the condition. We're talking perfectly flawless coins, almost like they came straight from the mint yesterday. If you've ever found a quarter with a weird scratch or a worn-out edge, I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's probably not going to be worth $2.2 million anytime soon. But don't despair. If you've got one of these pristine 1981 P Mint quarters with no imperfections, you might just have a little treasure sitting in your jar of change. Now, let's take a step back and break down the specifics. What makes the 1981 P Mint Washington quarter special? Well, it's not just any quarter. It has a subtle error or variation that makes it rare. And by rare, I mean $1 million rare. For the casual collector, it can be hard to even tell it apart from a regular 1981 quarter. But coin experts know exactly what to look for, things like smooth edges, high luster, and no wear on George Washington's face. If you've got one, it's like finding the holy grail of quarters. But, hold up. I know you're probably thinking, well, how do I even know if I have one of these $1 million quarters? Great question, and I'm so glad you asked. The best way to find out is to have your coin professionally graded. A high-grade coin can push it from being worth a few bucks to that crazy $2.2 million. And no, this is not some made-up story, this is real. So don't just toss that quarter back in your pocket or purse without giving it a second glance. Alright, so here's the deal, check your quarters. The 1981 P Mint Mark Washington quarter could be hiding right under your nose, and it might just be worth more than your car or house. If you've got one of these in good condition, make sure you get it checked out. It could make you a millionaire, and, hey, if you found this video helpful, or you just like the idea of finding rare coins that could make you rich, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll keep bringing you tips, tricks, and strategies to help you find coins that are actually worth something. Spoiler, it's not the one stuck to the bottom of your couch cushions. What if I told you that one specific quarter, yes, a Washington quarter from 1983, is worth up to $2 million? I know, it sounds too good to be true, but trust me, it's not. Stick around to find out how you could turn a simple quarter into a small fortune. Now, let me guess, you're probably thinking, wait, is this one of those old school coins my grandma has that she always said might be worth something one day? Well, you're not wrong, but this one is a little different. Let's dive into why that humble 1983 P Mint Mark Washington quarter is suddenly a big deal, and how you might have one sitting in your change jar right now. First, let's talk about the 1983 P Mint Mark Washington quarter and why it's so special. Typically, a regular Washington quarter from 1983 is worth, well, about 25 cents. But there's one rare thing that can make it shoot up to that sky-high $2 million price tag. Are you ready for it? The big secret is a minting error. That's right, a mistake. And not just any mistake, but a pretty major one. You see, in 1983, the Philadelphia Mint accidentally produced a few quarters with no mint mark at all, which was a huge oopsie. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's the big deal with a mint mark? Well, the mint mark indicates where the coin was made. Normally, you'll see an D for Denver or a S for San Francisco. But on these particular 1983 P quarters, they were supposed to have the P mint mark for Philadelphia, and they didn't. And that tiny little error has made them extremely valuable to collectors. But before you rush to your pocket change, let me tell you, they're not just sitting around everywhere. They're incredibly rare, and finding one in the wild is about as likely as winning the lottery. But here's the thing, the potential value is so high because collectors go crazy for mistakes like these. A mint error is like finding a diamond in a rock pile. It's that special. Now, let me take a second and tell you a personal story. A while ago, I was casually looking through some old coins I had saved over the years. I found a 1983 quarter, and I thought, wow, look at that. It's the one year I've heard has some special ones. So, I took it to a local coin shop, just for fun, and turns out I didn't have the error coin. It was just a regular, old 1983 quarter. Cue the disappointment. But hey, the lesson here is that it could have been the jackpot. If only it had the missing mint mark. Moral of the story, never overlook your change. You just never know what might be hiding in your wallet. So, the big takeaway here is that the 1983 P Washington quarter without a mint mark could be worth up to $2 million if you find one in perfect condition. But, don't expect it to be a common find. It's like spotting a unicorn in your backyard. If you've got old quarters or change lying around, take a closer look. Check the mint marks. Who knows, maybe you've got a valuable coin on your hands. Now, before you start rummaging through your change jar like a maniac, here's the deal, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on more awesome tips about coins that could be worth big money. If you love learning about rare finds, rare coins, and strategies for spotting valuable treasures, this is the place for you. What would you do if you found a coin worth over $1 million in your pocket? Sounds like something out of a treasure hunt, right? Well, that exact thing could happen with a 1989 P Mint Mark Washington quarter. No, I'm not messing with you, this thing could be worth up to $1.8 million, and in this video, we're going to figure out why, how to spot it, and maybe, just maybe, help you cash in on that sweet, sweet treasure. Stick around because this is going to be one wild ride down the coin collecting rabbit hole. Alright, let's dive into the mystery of the 1989 Mint Washington quarter. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, 1989. That was just yesterday. And in some ways, you're right. But when it comes to coins, age doesn't always matter. It's about rarity, condition, and sometimes, just plain luck. First off, let's talk about the coin itself. The 1989 Washington quarter is actually pretty common. The US Mint made a ton of them. So, you're not going to find every 1989 Mint mark quarter making you a millionaire. But, and this is where the plot thickens, there's a small batch of these coins with an error, a serious error. The minting process wasn't flawless, and some of these quarters came out with a variety of features that make them super rare. For example, the 1989 quarter with a double die is what you're really on the lookout for. This means the coin has an error where the design is doubled. You can spot it by looking closely at the letters in Liberty or In God We Trust. If they look a little, well, off or blurry, you might have a winner on your hands. We're talking about an error so rare that only a handful of these quarters exist today. Now, let me tell you something hilarious from my personal life. I remember once going through a pile of old change I had left over from a trip to the grocery store. I had a few quarters, and guess what? I didn't think twice about them. One of them was a 1989 I know, right? I probably dropped $1 million coin in the couch cushions somewhere, thinking it was just another quarter. But that's the thing with coins, sometimes, they look like any other ordinary coin. That is, until you take a closer look, and then boom, jackpot, if you find that rare 1989 quarter with the double die error, it could fetch up to $1.8 million at auction. Yes, you heard me right. I mean, imagine walking into a coin dealer's shop, handing them your quarter, and walking out with $1 million. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But hey, dreams do come true in the world of coin collecting, so, how do you make sure you're not passing up your chance to be the next big coin mogul? Well, first, always check your change. And when you're looking at a 1989 quarter, make sure to examine it carefully. Check for any signs of the doubling on the lettering, and even get it appraised if you're not sure. If you're sitting on a gold mine, you'll want to know it, and here's the thing, even if you don't find a 1989 quarter with the error, the world of coin collecting is full of hidden gems. There are coins from different years, mint marks, and errors that could make you a pretty penny, pun intended. So don't let this whole treasure hunt thing stop at the 1989 Keep your eyes peeled and keep searching. If you're like me, you'll probably end up with a few extra quarters in your wallet that won't make you a millionaire. But hey, it's fun to imagine, right? And trust me, you never know when you might find that lucky coin that could change your life. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever found a coin lying around in your change and thought, is this thing worth anything? Well, if you've ever gotten your hands on a 1990 Washington quarter, this video might just blow your mind. Stick around, because what you might think is just another pocket change coin could actually be worth, wait for it, $1.60 million. Yeah, you heard me right. No, I'm not joking. Let's dive in and see how this seemingly ordinary quarter can become your ticket to a serious payday. Alright, let's get the basics out of the way first. The 1990 Washington quarter is just one of those coins you'll come across a lot. It's got that classic Washington face staring back at you with the eagle on the back. Nothing too flashy, right? But here's the thing, if you're lucky enough to find a rare version of this coin, it could be worth a whole lot more than just a quarter. Like, a whole lot more. Now, you're probably asking, what makes this quarter so special? Well, there's a very specific error that happened during the minting process in 1990, which makes some of these coins incredibly valuable. I'm talking about a double die error, which means the design got stamped twice, making the features like the lettering, and even the date, look a bit more bold and prominent. It's a mistake, but a beautiful mistake if you're a coin collector. The coins with this double die error are super rare, and collectors are willing to pay big bucks for them. Now, let me hit you with the kicker. In 2019, one of these 1990D double die quarters was sold for an eye-watering $1.6 million at auction. $1.6 million. Can you even imagine? I mean, I can't even imagine having that much in my bank account, but this lucky person is walking around with a giant chunk of change that came from a simple coin they probably got at a convenience store. That I gotta admit, it makes me look at my old coin jar in a whole new way. I mean, I've got all sorts of coins in there, from a few quarters that have seen better days to some weird foreign coins I picked up on my travels. But let me tell you about the time I found an old coin in my pocket, thinking it might be worth something, only to realize it was just a regular quarter. Total letdown. But then, I started doing some research on what could be valuable, and that's when I stumbled upon this gem of a story. So, here's the thing, if you have a 1990D Washington quarter lying around, don't just toss it in your spare change jar like I almost did with that old coin. Take a closer look. Check for that double die error, you might just be holding on to a potential goldmine. And hey, even if you don't have one, you can still be on the lookout in the future. If you want to stay in the know about coins that could make you rich or just learn more tips and tricks on spotting valuable coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be sharing more stories, insider info, and coin hunting strategies to help you turn your loose change into a serious collection. Could be worth over $1 million. Yep, you heard that right, $1.4 million. Now, I know what you're thinking, wait, that's gotta be some mistake. Well, buckle up, because we're diving into the legendary 1994D Mint Mark Washington quarter and why it's a coin that can make you an instant millionaire, if you're lucky enough to find one. Trust me, you'll want to hear about this. Now, before you go scouring through your change jar or diving into your coin collection hoping for that golden ticket, let me explain why this 1994D quarter is so special. You see, the 1994D quarter is part of the regular series of coins that were produced by the U.S. Mint in Denver, but, and here's the kicker, there's a very rare error version of this coin out there that could be worth a fortune. Here's the deal, most of the 1994D quarters are worth about 25 cents. They're what we call circulation coins, basically the quarters you get when you're at the store, or when you're trying to get change for a parking meter. But then, there's this super rare version that has a unique error, and that's what makes it valuable. What happens is this error quarter features a double die. That means, instead of one imprint of the coin's design, there are two overlapping imprints. This makes the coin's features look blurry or double-struck in certain areas. And, believe it or not, this is what sends the coin's value through the roof. Collectors go wild for these little beauties because of the rarity and how freaking cool the error looks. Now, about that $1.4 million, how does this happen? Well, one lucky coin collector recently sold a 1994D double die quarter for a whopping $1.4 million at auction. This sale is the stuff of coin collector legends. It's not something you see every day, but it shows you just how valuable these error coins can get. Let me share a quick personal story here. A couple of years ago, I was rummaging through my coin jar, like any normal person does when they're bored, and I came across a super worn-out 1994D quarter. I thought, probably just another boring coin, and tossed it back in the jar. Fast forward a few months, and I learned about this double die error, and I was kicking myself. If I'd known what to look for, maybe I'd be sipping margaritas in the Bahamas right now. So, let this be a lesson, always double-check your coins, because you never know when you're sitting on a goldmine. But, I get it, finding a coin worth that much is like winning the lottery. It's rare, it's lucky, and it's totally possible, if you know what to look for. Now, how do you spot these error quarters? Well, first, you want to focus on the mint mark. It's right under Washington's chin, and the D stands for Denver. Next, flip the coin over and look for that double die. If you see any doubled letters or numbers, especially in the word Liberty or In God We Trust, you could be holding on to something worth big money. So, what's the takeaway? The 1994 D Washington quarter can be worth way more than its face value if you happen to find that rare error coin with the double die. While most of us will never get lucky enough to find one worth $1.4 million, the moral of the story is, check your change. Take a second look at your quarters, and maybe you'll find a hidden gem. We're talking about a coin worth more than your car. No, I'm not joking. We're diving into the 1995 D Washington quarter, which, believe it or not, can fetch up to $1.3 million on the market. Yes, you heard that right, a quarter could be worth more than your rent. So if you've got a 1995 D quarter sitting in your change jar, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. Let's find out why. But first, hit that like button if you've ever thrown a quarter into a wishing well and hoped for some serious cash. Spoiler alert, it might be working more than you think. Now, let's get down to business. You've probably tossed a few quarters into your laundry basket or the vending machine, right? I mean, quarters are pretty much the unsung heroes of our wallets. But not all quarters are created equal. Some are worth, well, less than a cup of coffee, and then there are others, like the 1995 D Washington quarter, that are worth enough to make you do a double take. So what makes the 1995 D so special? Simple. It's a variety of Washington quarters that has a major flaw. That little mint mark on the back, that D right there, it's not just some random letter. It turns out this particular year and mint mark combination had a few of them struck with a double die error. What does that mean? Well, basically, the coin got struck twice, making the date and lettering look slightly off-center. Not much, but enough to make coin collectors lose their minds. But here's the kicker, only a few of these double die error coins were actually made, and even fewer survived in good condition. In fact, if you have one that's in perfect condition, we're talking serious money. We're talking $1.3 million. No, I'm not kidding. You might be holding $1 million coin in your pocket without even knowing it. And you know what? This reminds me of my own coin hunt adventure. A couple of years ago, I found a quarter on the ground, not thinking much of it, until I Googled it and realized it was a rare 1982 no mint mark coin. Turns out, it wasn't worth $1 million, but it was worth enough to make me realize how easy it is to overlook the treasures we all walk over every day. Moral of the story: always check your change, folks. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool, I have a 1995 D quarter, but how do I know if it's one of those error coins? Well, the first step is to check for that telltale double die error. If you look closely, you'll notice that the date and lettering are a little, well, funky. It might look like they were stamped a second time with a slight shift. If it's hard to tell, don't worry, there are plenty of guides and experts out there who can help you out. And hey, if you find one, you might want to get it graded by a professional. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering if you can just run to the nearest coin shop and make a fortune right away. And while I'd love to say that's true, the reality is it's a bit more complicated. The condition of your coin matters a lot. The better the condition, the higher the value. A 1995 D double die in mint condition could fetch around $1.3 million, but one with somewhere might be worth less. Still, even a few $100 for a quarter isn't too shabby. So, what's the bottom line here? The 1995 D Washington quarter is a big deal if you have one with the right error. And even if you don't, it's still a great reminder to keep an eye on your change. I mean, who knows? That pocket change you just tossed in the jar might just be the next big find. If you want to learn more about hidden treasures like this and how to spot coins worth serious cash, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and ring the bell so you never miss out on more tips and tricks. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next coin that could be sitting in your wallet right now. We're diving into a coin that's so valuable, it could make you want to dig through your couch cushions. We're talking about the 1998 P mint mark Washington quarter, and guess what? It could be worth, hold on to your wallets, $1 million. Yep, you heard that right. A quarter, worth $1 million. I know, sounds like something out of a treasure hunter's dream, right? But it's real, and I'm here to show you how you could turn that pocket change into cold, hard cash. The 1998 P Mint Mark Washington quarter. What's the big deal, right? Well, let me tell you, not every 1998 quarter is worth $1 million, but there's a specific, rare version of this coin that could blow your mind. The key factor here is a minting error, something that slipped past the experts at the US Mint, and those few, lucky quarters that made it out of the mint are now sitting in the hands of collectors who are ready to pay a serious price for them. Now, before you go raiding your coin jar, let me clarify, this isn't every 1998 quarter you see. It's a very specific version, and it's got some unique features. One major sign is a double die error, where the die used to stamp the coin was misaligned. This causes the design to appear doubled in certain areas, like the date or the letters on the coin. It's subtle, but trust me, if you find one of these, you're looking at something that could be worth a boatload of cash. And here's the kicker, it's not even about the condition of the coin. Of course, the better condition, the more value. But even if you find one with a little wear and tear, you could still be sitting on a goldmine. Imagine finding a quarter in your wallet that you thought was just, well, a quarter, and then bam, you find out it's worth $1 million. Crazy, right? Now, I know what you're thinking, how do I know all this? Well, let me share a quick story. A few years ago, I was rummaging through some old coins I inherited from my grandpa. There I was, minding my own business, when I found this quarter from the 1990s. I thought, it's just a quarter, probably worth, what? 25 cents. But then I remembered reading about how rare coins can sneak into everyday circulation. So I decided to do a little research. Turns out, it was a 1998 quarter with some mild error. Sadly, not the $1 million kind, you know, the ones that make you famous on TV, but still, I learned something. You never know when your change might be hiding a treasure. So, to wrap things up, if you find a 1998 P Mint Mark Washington quarter with a noticeable double die error, you could be holding something worth a serious amount of money, up to $1 million in some cases. It's wild, but it's true. The moral of the story? Check your quarters, people. Don't just toss them in your change jar or leave them in the couch cushions. Take a second to inspect them, because you never know when you might strike it rich. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. We've got tons of tips on rare coins, money-making strategies, and everything in between. Don't miss out on future videos. Who knows, the next time we chat, we could be talking about the next $1 million coin you'll find. Catch you in the next one.